Hello everyone and welcome back to another Amped update video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the latest Amped Authenticate update. In this update video I'm going to be taking you through two main parts. The first part is going to be a new feature that we're adding to Amped Authenticate, which is going to be a new video tool. And then the second part, we're going to be taking a look at some updates we've made to the shadow analysis filter. So what is the VPF analysis? So VPF stands for Variation of Prediction Footprint. And this tool allows us to detect whether a video was encoded twice during its life cycle. Detecting double encoding is an important step towards integrity verification, and we all know this is extremely important in evidence. Virtually all videos are encoded once during their life cycle, and this is during the storage phase from the video being created. And if the integrity of that file is preserved, that should be the only encoding step that we're dealing with when we're looking at video evidence. If a file's been processed in any other way after that initial creation of it, then it's going to have to go through another step of encoding, and this is going to damage the integrity of that file. So with the VPF analysis, we're aiming to reveal whether the evidence video is showing traces of double compression or not. And when this is the case, when double compression is detected, it will provide an estimate of the group of picture size of the previous encoding. Now, the way VPF analysis works is by detecting the intra-frame macro blocks within the video. During the initial compression of that file when it was created, there'll be a certain amount of iframes in that video, and these iframes will have a high concentration of intra-macro blocks, iframe macro blocks. If we re-encode the video a second time, then those initial iframes could be re-encoded as p-frames in the new video if the group of pictures has changed. What will happen to these iframes that have been changed to p-frames is that they'll still contain a high concentration of I macro blocks. And by detecting this high concentration of I macro blocks in these p-frames, it will allow us to determine whether this video has been re-encoded or not. So let's jump into Authenticate, take a look at how this tool detects these iMacro blocks and how it then reports the analysis and how we can determine whether a video has been encoded once or twice. Okay, so I'm going to start off with these two video files here. I've got one that was exported as its native format and it's not been recompressed. And then I've got the other video where I have added another step of compression to it. I'm going to start off by taking a look at the single compression video. So let's run the VPF analysis. We can find the VPF analysis under video tools. You'll see there we've got VPF and double encoding detection. Once you select that, you'll get this window opened up. And you can see that the first input here is our evidence video. So I'm just going to browse to that video here. And you can see we've got this video file named single compression. So I'm going to load this as my evidence video. Next, you'll see we've got this threshold for VPF analysis value. And here we've got a default value of 0.6. So after we've run our VPF analysis, if we get a value for the VPF above this threshold, it's going to say that we've detected double compression. And if the value sits under this threshold, then it's going to say that we've not detected double compression. Now, this value of 0.6 has come from a lot of scientific studies, and the information for this is available to you through the manual in Authenticate. So I'm almost ready to do the analysis here. You'll see that I've also got the VPF plot ticked here. What this will do is enable us to see the VPF analysis on a graph. So you can see we've got these two windows opened. We've got the VPF analysis results, and we've got the VPF signal graph. So let's talk about the VPF analysis results first. You'll see our first line here is our input file. We then have the resolution of the video. And then under ID2, this is where we'll get the double encoding detected, yes or no. And in this video, if you remember, it only went through encoding once. So here we've got no further detection. Our VPF signal came out at 0.013, which falls below our threshold of 0.6. You'll see this final estimated GOP size line here, and this is related to when a video has been double encoded. You'll get a value which is the predicted GOP size for that first encoding that would be placed in this value here. So moving on to the graph, here you can see a visual representation of that VPF signal, and you can either view it as the VPF signal, or we can deselect that and isolate the amount of I macro blocks in the video. And you can do the same for the P and the S macro blocks too. Now, if I normalize this I macro blocks graph, you'll see that we've got a very flat value line going through these frames for the iframes. And this is what we would expect to see when we've got single encoding, because we're not having any frames jump out at us with a higher than expected amount of I macro blocks. Now, this will become more relevant when we look at the double encoded video. So I'm now going to run the VPF analysis on our other file that we've got where we know that double encoding has happened. And we're going to take a look at how this information is presented to us. So again, I'm just going to Video Tools VPF. I'm going to browse for that double compressed video and select the run to view this analysis. So again, let's start off with the VPF analysis results, and this time under the double encoding detected, you'll see that we've got the yes, that it's been detected, and we'll also see now a estimated GOP size. Here we've got a GOP size of 12. What this is indicating to us is that the initial compression that this video went through, the group of pictures for that initial compression was 12. So every 12th frame, we should be seeing iframes. And because our new GOP size in this video is different, those iframes will now be P frames. So taking a look at the graph, first we'll just look at the VPF signal. What you're going to see on this VPF signal now is these intermittent peaks that we're going to get, and they're going to relate to the group of picture size of the previous encoding. So you would expect to see these in intervals of 12. Now, if I take a look at the number of I macro blocks instead, again, we're going to see it slightly different. Here I've normalized this, and now we don't have flat values through the frames of the video, but instead we've got these peaks of the number of the I macro blocks, And again, this is going to fall within that interval of the previous encoding group of picture size, which was 12. You may now and again come across a expected frame number where you're expecting to see a high number of macro blocks, but you don't see it. So for example, in this video at frame 60, we should expect a high number of iMacro blocks, but it's not being reported here. And the reason behind that is because in both the initial encoding GOP size and the new encoding GOP size, frame 60 was an iframe in both of the videos. And therefore, we haven't had a iframe that has been changed to a P frame with an abnormal amount of iMacro blocks inside it. Finally, within VPF Analysis, you can do batch processing by going to the Files to Process drop-down menu. You'll see there's different options there to select multiple files within a evidence folder. In this case, I will select all videos in the folder and run the VPF analysis. When you're doing batch processing with VPF analysis, you will have the results displayed in a different format and you will not be able to see the VPF signal. Therefore, using the batch processing with VPF analysis is a great way to quickly prioritize which files you need to review. Okay guys, so there's a quick summary of the VPF analysis that is now available to you in the most recent version of Authenticate. There is going to be blog posts and lots of information in the Authenticate manual available to you if you want to know a bit more about this tool. I'm now going to talk you through the improvements that we've made to our shadow analysis filter. The shadow analysis filter came out a few updates ago. Since then, it's proven quite popular with our users, and we've had a lot of feedback suggesting some improvements that we can make to it. So just a reminder, the shadows filter falls under the geometric analysis category. And using this filter, you can analyze the shadows within an image and look for any discrepancies that may be there. From the feedback that we received, we found that in some images, especially larger images, the lines that make the wedges for the shadows end up being too thin to see. So in this update, we've added the line thickness slider, which you can see in the bottom right. This will allow you to increase the thickness of those lines to make them easier to see. We are always happy to receive your feedback and always try to implement any of the feedback we can into our software. Hope you enjoyed the update video and see you next time.